I don't care if you approve of me or not. I care if I approve of me because I'm the one that has to live with me. Welcome to 45 on the Hour podcast. I'm your host, Colt 45, and I'm here by myself today, speaking amongst the people. Guys, I got a good podcast for you guys today. Can't even speak today. We're going to talk about talking points that have to do with your personal story, okay? And why you don't need to try to fit in. I think that's a common mistake these days. I think people need to try to fit in everything they do. I think people just need to fit in. They just got to feel like they fit in. And why? Why do we need to fit in? I think it's because we all need validation as humans. I think we all need to think that we matter. The thing is that we don't need to matter to anybody but ourselves. It took me over 20 years. I remember being young and just after I found out about my dad and my mom splitting, and I didn't know the why and the reason why they did that. And it really hurt me. It created a lot of anger inside and frustration. And I remember just growing up, just trying to figure out how I fit in. Like, how do I fit in with everybody? How does this work? How do I fit in? And I just couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure out how to fit in because my life was just so chaotic for such a long time. My mom tried her hardest to balance things out, but even though life wasn't hard, it was hard. And I just remember feeling like I wasn't enough for many years. I just remember being a kid and looking at my sister and just wanting to be the father figure that she never had. And I just remember fitting in was just such a big deal for me. And I remember getting into working out. And that's kind of what saved me, because I started working out when I was maybe about 13 years old. I got my first weeder bench outside, and I remember how good it felt to work out. And then I remember the validation I got from it. I remember people telling me, Colt, you're looking good, brother. You're looking good. You know, older guys around the block, you know, friends of family and things like that. And people were saying, hey, you're looking good. You're starting to build some muscle. And at 13, I wasn't really building muscle, right? It was just a fibers, you know, it was just like little fibers at that point, you know, because you're still growing. And I remember just thinking to myself, man, I want to feel this forever. I want to fit in. I just want to fit in. And I remember focusing on that for so many freaking years. Like, I got to find a way to fit in somehow. I got to find a way to fit in. Because I'd suffered so much trauma up until that point. And trauma came from abuse. It came from parts of neglect and not thinking I was enough. And I think I still struggle with that today. But struggling with it means that I actually had it happen to me and that I could acknowledge those feelings, and that just because something happened to you doesn't mean that it is you. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is, if you feel that you're still struggling to fit in, you got to get to a point you understand that you're enough. And if you don't feel like you're enough, then what you need to do is you need to realize that you are enough, and you're going to find out how to become enough. So for me, I kept working out. That was my out. And then I got into wrestling in high school, and that helped me a little bit with confidence. And then before I knew it, I was in the Marine Corps. And I remember all the tests they put me through, the underwater stuff and the humping with big backpacks on and the whole nine. And everything was just so chaotic. I still find myself at times trying to lessen the chaoticness in my life personally, because I'm so high-tempered, so high-strung, you know, so energized. It's probably a better word. That I don't know sometimes if I'm still good enough. I always try to make sure that I know that I'm good enough, but I feel like I'm not. And that's probably why I try so hard. And I think that a lot of people consistently put themselves in uncomfortable positions like me that feel like they're not enough. See, when you know that you're enough and you're walking through life as like you're telling yourself that you're enough, but you know deep inside you still have work to do. That's what I mean by not enough. See, the difference is I know that I'm good enough for myself and I'm good enough for somebody else because of the actions that I commit every day. If my actions line up with the outcome that I wish to receive, then I should be good. If they don't, and I'm telling myself that they are, my subconscious is paying attention, and that's what creates the stigma. That's what creates the vibration decrease. That's what creates, the painful chest, the stress levels, the hormone engagement, things like that. But if you know you're doing the right thing, you'll be okay. If you know you're doing the right thing, you'll be okay. You'll always be okay. You got to keep your side of the street clean. But you got to understand that you're good enough. And that fitting in doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. As long as you know that you're enough. Man, doing a podcast by yourself, you don't really have anyone else like exchanging information. So I think for me, I feel like I have gaps. Because I try to sit here and I try to think about the next thing that I wanted to say. And sometimes it doesn't correlate with the outcome that I desire. Because I generate sentences and statements that I'm going to talk about or questions. And sometimes the messages don't feel like they want to come out, I guess you could say. Once I stopped changing or chasing approval, I started feeling different. I remember the day that I started feeling like I was enough. And it was once I started doing self-development work. I started feeling better about myself, and I started understanding that I wasn't crazy, that the messages that I was receiving were right. If I didn't feel like I was enough or someone lied to me or something like that, or I went through trauma in my life about my dad and how he didn't tell me anything for years, all those things built up inside of me, and they created like some sort of hurt inside of me that I carried on to other things like relationships and friendships and things like that. So that's probably one of the reasons why I think that a majority of the people that I'm attracted to hanging out with are people that have had a sense of trauma. I think people that are the most hurt are the most trustworthy. People that have been hurt the most are the most trusting. And so for me, I think that I want to be trusted by somebody. And what's better to get trust by somebody else that's been hurt just the same as you? So a lot of people don't understand that. I think a lot of people say, well, wouldn't you want to have someone that's never been hurt? It's like, well, they don't know what it feels like. So for them to do it, it would be so much easier. Fitting is when I stopped chasing for approval was right around that time when I just realized that I didn't need anyone's approval anymore because the level of hurt that I was feeling was just something from the past. It was something that was historical. It wasn't something I was feeling currently. It was something from the past. That's why they say that if you can change a small memory of the past, you can make it just slightly better, like 1% better, you're going to feel 10 times better. And for me, that meant something. When people try to fit in, you get things like fear of rejection, desire for validation, social media pressure to act like everyone else. Social media was the thing that helped me the most get out there and be myself and be accepted for who I am. As soon as I started becoming who I am and just saying what I felt and what was on my mind, I lost a lot of friends. I lost a lot of people in my life. People looked at me differently. They looked at me as confident, arrogant, cocky. I looked at myself as I'm me. None of those things. Because that's exactly who you get. I don't change in person or on social media. It's the same person. It's all the same. And that's what I believe that we need to have. Fear of rejection, desire for validation, social media pressure to look at everyone. All that stuff matters. We all need that. But the cost of fitting in costs you to lose your identity. You live by other people's standards, constant frustration when approval never comes. All those things hurt people. When you start losing your identity, you start losing yourself. Because if you're trying to fit in for everyone else, no one can recognize you. You don't really know who you are. And I think once you lose the train of thought of who you are, that's when you start losing the train of thought of what your mission is. And then that's when you get anxious and people start doing things that they don't like, sticking to the vices and whatnot. Living by other people's standard is the worst thing you could do to a person. It's abuse to yourself. Having constant frustration when approval never comes back. You don't need approval from anybody but yourself. Standing out. We'll talk about how authenticity attracts the right circle. If you're authentic, okay, and you're truly about yourself, you're going to attract people. People believe in that. People believe in being transparent with people. And that's what helps. It helps to be honest. The more honest you are, the more people respect you, and the more they appreciate you, and the higher your value is. And you don't need everyone's support, just the right people. You got to make sure that you have the right crowds around you. You have to make sure that you have the right people that are in your corner that love you and support you. And you'll know that because they're going to be giving you the information that you probably don't want to hear. Real freedom. Being okay with not being liked by everybody. I became free the moment I decided that I didn't care what anyone else thought. As soon as I was 37, I used to always think about what would people think of me if they found out about my dad. Would they look at me the same? Would they think that I wanted to be a chick because my dad wanted to be a chick? Would they judge me because my dad was, the way he was? And I think that's what I struggled with my whole life, and I tried to be as big of a man as I could. But in reality, being a tough guy wasn't about being tough. It was about being hurt. Tools for breaking free. I'll talk about this. This is important. I wrote this down too. The mirror test. Would I still do this if no one approved? Crazy, right? Could you imagine looking at yourself in the mirror and going, I want to be a contractor, but my mom wants me to be a doctor. My dad wants me to be a plumber. My sister wants me to be a basketball player. I don't know. But you wanted to be a contractor. You felt it in your heart. Would you still do it if no one approved? Would you still go pursue that? That's some good questions to ask yourself. Core values, crowd validation. I think that we have to believe in ourselves even when no one else believes in us. I have a thing called non-negotiables. I write them down and I post them because I want everyone to know my character. I want everybody to know that I can validate myself. I don't need your approval. Having discipline in who you let influence your life is important. I think that's probably the most important thing that we could talk about here. Who influences you and who you follow and who you look up to is going to change the trajectory of where you're going to be at in 10 years. That's why they say that choosing the right spouse is probably the number one most important thing you can do. If I had chosen the right spouses up until this time in my life, I'd probably be somewhere else today instead of chasing my kids all around the state because they have different moms. I think that for me, I know that I was never a crowd pleaser. I knew that I was always against the grain. I was always the one that was like, let me take the harder route. Let me be the black sheep. Let me take all the pain because I can handle it. Because that's what I was chosen to do. And I believe in that. Takeaway challenges. Stop asking, do they like me? Start asking, do I like me? That's important. Because if you don't like you, who gives a fuck what anyone else thinks? If you hate the person that you see in the mirror, who cares what anyone else thinks? If you're acting like someone that doesn't matter, who gives a shit? Like, none of that matters. You know what I mean? All I got to say is this. Do one thing this week for yourself that's true to yourself, even if it risks disapproval. That's what I want you guys to focus on this week. I want you guys to focus on something that risks disapproval, not approval. Do something that you know might be against the grain and post it, put it out there. See what kind of feedback you get. Test the waters. It's okay to be a little against the grain. You'd be surprised at how many people respect that. Don't be somebody that's unhappy for the rest of your life because you don't fit in. Don't do that. Be somebody that believes in themselves. I think at the end of the day, we all have to sit sometime alone, whether that be in a casket, whether that be in a hospital bed, whether that be at home. I think we'll have to sit in our thoughts. I think we all have to realize that we are who we think about and what we think about. If we think about good stuff, good things are going to come. If we think about bad stuff, bad shit's going to come. If you're around a frequency that's constantly negative, it's going to turn you into a negative. If people are bad for you, they're going to turn you into a negative. If they're good for you, they're going to turn you into a positive. It is so important to have the right people in your life. 1,000%. If someone in your life is there and you're fighting for their approval because you feel like you need it, like I needed my dad's approval and my mom's approval, and I never felt I got it, I struggled with that so long for my entire life. I still struggle with it today. But the way that I got through it and got strong enough to get here and sit on this microphone in front of you with the confidence that I have today, to put all my pain aside, which I'm in pain all the time, is to let you know that I don't care if you approve of me or not. I care if I approve of me, because I'm the one that has to live with me. And you're the one that has to live with you. If you don't like who you are because you feel like you can't fit in, look at yourself in the mirror. Write down all the things that you want in your life and go get those things. Put the right things in front of you that are going to help you get there. Draw out a plan. Execute on that plan. And if you're vibrating low, find ways of vibrating high. Give the gift of gratitude. Or get into a high-intensity workout. You can do it. We can all do it. You'd be surprised at how many people are there to support you. For just you. Yeah, you might have 100 million people that support you if you're like a super big influencer online. And then as soon as you maybe disclose who you are, if you're faking the funk, you might lose all of them and be down with 100,000. But I'd rather have one friend instead of 100 fake friends. And what I mean by fake is fake to yourself. They're good to you and they follow you because you present an image that's not who you really are. So technically, they don't know who you really are. That means that your character is flawed. That means you're not able to be someone that you want to be and emulated like or looked at or projected like. Just understand this. Try one new thing this week that presents disapproval. Something that you feel is right. Even if it's just talking about something that you're passionate about, but you're, curious about it. Like for me, it would be religion. So religion for me is big because it keeps me grounded. It keeps me in faith. And I'm not perfect. But as soon as I get into it and I talk about my religion and I present myself in an image that I want to, that follows God, not what I want to do, I feel better. When I do what he wants me to do, I feel better, not what I want to do. When I'm confused and I start pacing and I'm, like stressed about something, I think about what he wants me to do. What he wants me to do is serve. Serve people that are hurting, serving people that are in need, working on being a better person. So if you're worried about fitting in, worry about fitting in with God. Worry about fitting in with him. Believe in something. Believe in yourself, even if no one else does. Because I promise you, if you believe in you and you give yourself 1,000% honesty and transparency on who you are, you're going to find your crew. You're going to find your people. And everyone's going to know who you are. And you're going to feel so much better. Don't try to fit in, guys. Fitting in is just a lengthy process of hurt. Until next time, guys. Get up, get after it, get some.
Bitch, don't get too comfortable. Better not get too comfortable. Better not get too comfortable. Yeah, bitch, don't get too comfortable.